Hamas was created out of this desperation.
Hamas was created because of the Muslim Brotherhood to spread Sharia law and create an Islamic Khalifa all around the world. When they're done with the Jews in Israel, they're going to go to the Jews around the world and then go to the Sunday people. First the Saturday people, the Jews, and then the Sunday people, the Christians.
So do you think if the right of return on the Palestinian side was implemented, there would or wouldn't be mass displacement of Jews living in Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem?
Sure. No, absolutely not.
As far as Hamas, where do you see Hamas fitting into this equation?
So why do you guys chant from the river to the sea, Palestine Arabiya? I mean, Palestine Arabiya, what's happening to the Jewish population of the region? Are you calling for the ethnic cleansing of Jews, or are you kidding us all? How you guys doing? This is Sahar TV, and in this video we'll see a speed debate between a pro-Israel person and a pro-Palestine person. Pretty level-headed discussion, I have to say. Let's take a look.
Been following what's going on in Israel, Gaza over the last 18 months?
Of course.
Where do you stand on it?
Well, I support the importance of Palestinian liberation.
What do you make of the events that kicked off this recent military campaign, October 7, 2023 and on?
You can't just start at October 7. We have this continuously inhabiting population in Palestine for thousands of years.
Do you think the Jewish people have a claim to the land as well?
Yeah, I mean, historically, right? Like, that's where Judaism started.
In terms of indigeneity, this concept of who's indigenous, at one point does that stop in the timeline? Because if the last official state in the region in geography was, say, the Kingdom of Judah, before the Jews were kicked out by the Romans, according to the indigenous argument, say that this is a Jewish state, first and foremost?
So that's where I draw the line. That's a very dangerous thing to get into. All these groups have...
It's a very dangerous thing to get into, because then it completely removes the indigenous claims from the Arabs who claim to be indigenous Canaanites or descendants of the Canaanites. That's why it's a dangerous line to this dude right there.
And historical tie to this land.
So do you think if the right of return on the Palestinian side was implemented, there would or wouldn't be mass displacement of Jews living in Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem?
No, absolutely not.
As far as Hamas, where do you see Hamas fitting into this equation?
So why do you guys chant from the river to the sea, Palestine Arabiya? I mean, Palestine Arabiya, what's happening to the Jewish population of the region? Are you calling for the ethnic cleansing of Jews, or are you kidding us all?
They have evil intentions towards Israel, towards Jews?
No, I believe that Hamas was created out of this desperation.
But what's confusing about
Hamas was created because of the Muslim Brotherhood to spread Sharia law and create an Islamic Khalifa all around the world. When they're done with the Jews in Israel, they're going to go to the Jews around the world and then go to the Sunday people. First the Saturday people, the Jews, and then the Sunday people, the Christians.
That is in their founding charter. In like Article 7, it talks about how the day will not come until we fight the Jews, and they raise the children in schools to become martyrs and fight the Yahud. So that on that ideological religious level, that seems like a pretty hard deal to negotiate with.
Their exposure to Judaism as an idea is really conflated with Zionism.
Has nothing to do with Zionism. Prophet Muhammad of the Muslims never liked the Jews, and he said that he wanted to get rid of the Jews from Arabia, which is what Umar al-Khattab, the second Khalifa, that's exactly what he did after Muhammad's passing. The hatred of Hamas to Jews stems from Islam and from Islamic texts, just like Hezbollah, just like ISIS, just like Al-Qaeda, and just like all these other terrorist organizations stemming from the Muslim Brotherhood.
When Gaza was occupied by Egypt and the West Bank occupied by Jordan from 48 to 67, how come we didn't see that same kind of resentment or hatred to the occupiers?
I mean, you totally did, actually. I mean, in the West Bank, for example, there were several resistance movements.
When Israel pulled out in
That's a complete lie. There was a resistance movement against Israel, the PLO. The PLO was founded in 1964, where not a single city or village was occupied or captured by Israel. Why do you need to create the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, if not a single Jewish person is occupying your land? Interesting. When at the same time you're occupied by Jordan and Egypt. You never called for a Palestinian state then. They could have created one for you like this, but you never called for it because you never wanted it. You have no intention in building a Palestinian state. You have an intention in destroying the Jewish one.
2005, all Jewish settlements in the Gaza Strip, all the graves going out, they removed everybody, every single Jew. Why was that not a great test case to see, okay, if we don't attack Israel and we don't commit to destroying them, why can't we build a prosperous Palestinian state here?
I think it's very naive to think, oh, they're going to build the Singapore of the Middle East.
Don't you think there's an opportunity there? It's not like Hamas had to burn down all the greenhouses and destroy the infrastructure and oppress the Palestinian people, killing collaborators and slaughtering them. But wasn't there an opportunity at least to say nothing in Israel forced the hand to create a repressive regime as it exists today?
I mean, what if they had a different, leadership in place?
Right, but these processes...
The Palestinians in Gaza, or I can't believe I'm calling them Palestinians, the Arabs who live in Gaza have Hamas as their leadership. We all saw the result of that. The Arabs living in Judea and Samaria, area A and B, the PA controls them. They have the pay-for-slay policy, which rewards Palestinian terrorists for slaughtering and committing terror against Jews. Even if you change the leadership, Nothing is going to help. Maybe the Palestinian Emirates plan by Dr. Mordechai Kedar, giving each Arab tribe its Arab emirate.
They're incremental, and if you had goodwill, we're going to create a free society and a prosperous one, and invest in education and invest in infrastructure and use all the money in aid and recognize Israel. Don't you think that would have been better? Did Israel cause that, or did they do that?
They're creating this resentment. They're creating this presence and this need for a resistance organization.
Just to push back, why didn't they take that opportunity after 2005? Hamas comes in and destroys their political opponents.
I would just dispute that that's like a valid argument.
In terms of the refugees in surrounding countries, do you think some of those countries owe some sort of obligation, like Jordan or Egypt, to grant citizenship to Palestinian refugees?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you look at like the Arab world and how Palestinians were like cast asunder and thrown into the Arab world, a lot of them are being neglected by countries that they should be able to call home.
You know why they're being neglected? They're being neglected because they know that the moment they recognize the Palestinians as Egyptians or the Palestinians as Jordanians, which by the way, they are, 75% of Jordan is Palestinian, then the Palestinian initiative and narrative is doomed. They made up this identity in 1964, and by recognizing them as citizens of Egypt, citizens of Jordan, citizens of Lebanon, then this made up identity is going to be destroyed.
Before there was a single settlement in the West Bank or Gaza, when Israel was being founded, there was a resentment to Israel existing at all, or an objection to it by the Arab states. Do you deny that?
But here's the thing. I dispute the need for ethnic or religious sovereignty in any country. Same way I would object to the idea of this is an Islamic state, everyone here must be Muslim.
Right. So you don't think any of those countries, Muslim countries, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, have a right to exist as Muslim countries?
If they're building a country based off of ethno-religious supremacy, then absolutely not.
Do you
Yeah. That's what they're doing.
agree that the Jews that were on all the Arab lands historically in the Middle East were subject to politically inferior status?
Yeah, and I think that's really messed up. For example, like the Iraqi Jewish community, they should have been able to stay. They should have never had to fear oppression or animosity against their community.
Given the reality for Jews in the Arab world historically that were oppressed, were subject to the jizya tax, were subject to secondary citizen status, can you understand why Jews today would be cautious and fearful about being in an Arab majority in Palestine?
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, and I think, broadly speaking, every country has these instances where we're oppressing religious minorities. I think it's absolutely valid for religious minorities to be concerned with the treatment that they're going to face.
What about...
Well, Jewish minorities and Christian minorities were always oppressed by Islam for 1400 years. This never changed. If you go to majority Muslim countries right now, the Jewish population is not able to practice their religion freely, which is kind of fucked.
the 2 million Israeli Arab citizens that live in Israel proper today?
I think that's a really interesting case as well. Israel has this population control.
Every country does.
What do you mean?
Over which people can become citizens, who's let in as immigration, who they grant citizenship to.
Well, yeah.
Plenty of them do it based on ethnic solidarity.
But in this case,
it's not unique to Israel.
No, but in this case, it is constructed to maintain a Jewish majority, which I think inherently is something that's wrong.
But you kind of understand it given the history of Jewish persecution.
I understand it, but I completely disagree with it. I don't think just because you've faced persecution in the past, it gives you any right to persecute people in the present, right?
Yeah, not persecute people, but I would say that countries maintain certain ethnic majorities, whether it's Japan, China, the Arab countries, Muslim countries around the world. And you think that's wrong? And he's consistent, man. And I think we got to wrap it up there because we've really had a nice, good holiday discussion. You too.
That was a good video. We were given a bunch of information in this short clip. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you'd like to support me financially and help me buy new gear, post content every day, you can do that using Buy Me Coffee or Patreon down in the links in the description. You can also join our Discord down in the links below, and you can also become a YouTube member and enjoy specific YouTube perks. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.